Hello, this is Unlock 3, listening and speaking for B1 level. We are in week 6 and this is day 2. In this video, we are going to look at one part of language development, which is comparing things, comparing the differences between A and B. At this level, you should already know about comparing things. For example, how would you compare these two, A and B? You would probably say something like A is smaller than B, or B is larger than A. But what about this? Do you see the difference between this A and B and this A and B? The differences are very big in the second one. So how do you talk about big differences like this? You could say A is a lot smaller than B. A is a lot smaller than B. Or you could say A is much smaller than B. Or A is definitely smaller than B. Or A is considerably smaller than B. So when you do this, you are emphasizing the difference. In the first picture, the difference is small. So you could say A is smaller than B, or A is a bit smaller than B, or A is slightly smaller than B. So to talk about small differences, you could use a bit or slightly. And to talk about big differences, you could use a lot, much, definitely, or considerably with the comparative form. So what about this? When you have three things to compare, more than two things to compare, you could probably say something like C is the largest, or A is the smallest. But what about when you have big differences like this? How would you compare now? You could say something like C is by far the largest, using by far to express or to emphasize big difference. So let's see these two forms together. To express big differences in between two things, you could use a lot, much, definitely, or considerably with the comparative form. And to express big differences in the superlative form, you could use by far. These words and phrases can be used to emphasize the differences. Emphasize means to put stress on it. Now, you are going to listen to these sentences, and your job is to underline the syllable, only one syllable, which has the most stress in each phrase in bold. The listening is only 50 seconds. So here we go.
4.5 1.
On the course, I learnt a lot more than I expected.
2. We can see that by far the safest form of transport is air transport, and the most dangerous is using a motorbike. 3.
In contrast, driving a car is considerably more dangerous.
4. For me, flying is much more comfortable than travelling by train. 5.
Flying is definitely more expensive than driving.
Which syllables have you underlined? Let's check. You should have underlined these syllables. To check it again, let's listen one more time.
4.5 1.
On the course, I learnt a lot more than I expected.
2. We can see that by far the safest form of transport is air transport, and the most dangerous is using a motorbike. 3.
In contrast, driving a car is considerably more dangerous.
4. For me, flying is much more comfortable than travelling by train. 5.
Flying is definitely more expensive than driving.
All right. On page 77, if you look at exercise 5, you will see 7 statements. Complete the sentences with the correct form of the adjectives. So in brackets here, you have adjectives, and you are supposed to write them with the correct form. Correct form means sometimes you need the comparative form and sometimes the superlative form. Pause the video here, finish this exercise, and come back to check the answers. Here are the answers in 3, 2, 1. Traveling by train is better than driving. So you need the comparative form because you see the word than. And there are only 2 things, traveling by train and driving. Number 2, in a big city, riding a bicycle is faster than driving a car. Again, you have 2 things, riding a bicycle and driving a car. What about number 3? Driving your own car is do you see this word, the article, the definite article? The most comfortable way to travel. If you are in a hurry, it is better to cycle than to drive a car. See the word than? And there are 2 things, to cycle and to drive a car. Number 5, riding a motorbike is the most interesting way to travel across a country. The definite article might be helpful here. Many people buy monthly passes for public transport. It is, do you see the word then? It is more convenient than paying for every ride. And the last one, walking is the best method of transport. Now, you should spend some time discussing these statements, giving reasons for your opinion. For example, traveling by train is better than driving. Do you agree with this? Do you disagree with this? And why? Please sit down and write your answers in the notebook. So, if you don't have someone to talk to, or if you don't have anyone to discuss these questions with, use your notebook. In this video, we focused on comparing things. Now you can go to the next video to study some key vocabulary for listening to.